What's up, everybody? RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and I figured, haven't done one of these in a while. Haven't had a live here on the channel since a couple of games ago, so I figured, why not on a Thursday night at 5 o'clock, going into a, pretty massive game for the Red Raiders, if we're being honest about it, after the absolute, piece of you-know-what they left out in the 806 on the field last week against Baylor. Now you go to Fort Worth. You're home away from home, a lot of Red Raiders say, and, it should be a good one. We'll talk about that game, what I think Texas Tech has to do to win that matchup against the TCU Horned Frogs on Saturday afternoon at Amon G. Carter. And then we'll also talk a little bit Texas Tech hoops. I know it wasn't in the thumbnail, but for those that came in, maybe saw on Twitter, we'll talk about a little bit of hoops, including an injury update for a key player for the Red Raiders. Also, what Texas Tech looked like in the secret scrimmage they had just last week, as well as a national analyst saying that Texas Tech is a dark horse to play down in San Antonio in the Final Four. If you haven't already and you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, hit that subscribe button, and help grow the channel a little bit. I know I've been a little distant on the channel a little recently, ain't gonna lie. It's a hobby for me, but real life work has been kicking my ass recently. But I love talking to you guys, and I'm happy to be back here talking Texas Tech football and men's basketball. All right, I kind of want to start off talking about football for the sheer fact of maybe it's a little rant time here, because I haven't really had the time to go on my full tangent about Texas Tech. And I don't think we should call it a performance. That's too disrespectful to the word performance. What happened on Saturday night out in Baylor, or against Baylor out in the 806? You can tell I'm already flustered by this shit. That was by far, having a little bit of hindsight now, having a few days to reflect on it, and I can reflect on it. I'm not a player, so I can do that. You're a fan. You can do that. Players, coaches, they can't do that, which is totally understandable. But reflecting on it a little bit for me, that was the most embarrassing loss I think I can remember in my time covering, discussing, whatever, Texas Tech. Because here's the thing. Getting your ass kicked happens in college football. It happens, right? Like, it really does. And I know that no fan wants to hear that, no matter the level. Sometimes you just get your ass kicked, right? You can go in there prepared. You can go in there giving the most amount of effort you know how, and just get your ass kicked because the other team is better and they have a better day, right? And what I'm about to say is not belittling to Baylor. In fact, I think it's a positive for them. Like, hey, good for you guys for actually showing up to the damn fucking football game, okay? It's more so an indictment on this coaching staff, because when I look at that performance against Baylor, did the players play well? No, they didn't. But here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about in the tech space, at least that I've seen in the podcasts I listen to and the people I follow on social media. Are we not going to blame the fucking coaches here? Like, a lot? Like, I'm talking like 90, 95% of the blame needs to go on Joey McGuire, Zach Kittley, and then most notably probably Tim DeRuyter. I mean, really, it should be on Joey McGuire and Tim DeRuyter the most, with some going to Kittley. But if we're being honest about it, that was an absolute embarrassment what Joey McGuire and crew, in terms of that coaching staff, put on the field for a product for Red Raider Nation. You had a fucking bye week to get these guys ready, to not come out and lay one of the biggest eggs I have ever seen at the Jones. And what do? They lay the biggest egg. And oh, by the way, you have expectations now if you're Texas Tech, right? Remember, Texas Tech, and it's hard to it's hard to remember after that shitty-ass performance against Baylor, right? But the Red Raiders were actually undefeated, one of only 3 teams in the Big 12 that were undefeated coming into that game. And what do? Give up 59 points to a Baylor team that their entire fan base thinks that they should have fired their head coach last year. It was putrid. It was disgusting. It was abysmal. Any word that you want to put in there. It was just absolutely embarrassing. And the thing is, I would be okay again if Texas Tech showed up, but they didn't. This coaching staff did not have this team prepared at all. No plan whatsoever. And you could kind of tell from really the first one or two drives, you're like, oh shit, Tech might be in trouble here. Okay. And then you think about, all right, where do the stops come defensively? Because there really weren't any, right? You were not good on any facet of the game. You were bad on offense, and the offense actually was probably the best in this game, which is crazy for what I'm about to say. The defense is just awful. I mean, awful. That was the worst performance by a Texas Tech Tim DeRuyter defense we have seen yet. Period. End of story. And don't even get me started on the special teams. Okay. It's hard not to be one of those Tech fans right now that's going to tell you like, oh, well, here we go. Same old typical Tech. And I hate that saying. I despise it. I truly do. The typical Tech saying just gets on my nerves more than anything else. But the thing is when people said that after this game, I agreed with them. And that's an indictment on the coaching staff. The coaching staff was shit in that game. All of it, top to bottom. I don't care if you were a GA all the way up to the head man, Joey McGuire. You did not do your job that game. Period. And they know that. I'm not speaking anything new to them. But it's also one of those deals where it feels like this happens once a year where there is just a loss where you have no business losing. You had no business losing to Baylor. You were leaps and bounds better than Baylor. And now, again, I'm not trying to throw shade at Baylor, but Texas Tech is better than them. But you would not know it watching that game out in the 806 last weekend. And now, as you transition to the game against TCU, you almost feel like your back's against the wall. Now, does this team respond? That could be a good thing for this team, right? Who knows? But I'll guarantee you this. If they are anywhere remotely close to that unprepared like they were against Baylor, against TCU on Saturday afternoon at Amon G. Carter, you're going to get your shit rocked if you're Texas Tech. You're going to get your shit rocked. So you better be fucking ready, right? And I just – there's a lot of what ifs now. I'm almost to the point now, and you can call me out in the comments if you want. I'm to the point now where it's prove it for everything for me. Everything. Outside of maybe Taj Brooks, prove it to me on everything. Both sides of the football, if you're the Red Raiders. Because the offense has looked good this year. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Kitley. Let's be real. The offense is pretty good, people, right? But it's one of those deals where the offense is being asked to carry 85% of the load there. This defense is bad. And now injuries are a part of it. And we'll talk about why I think that they should just move to one specific defense and just say, screw a pass rush here in a little bit. But this defense is putrid. I mean, it is awful. It almost feels like we're back in that, Cliff Kingsbury type era where you're like, is this team about to score 50 on us? And the perfect example is Baylor. They scored 59 points on you at home. And the crazy part is again, call me crazy, I actually think the Texas Tech secondary isn't that bad. But the defensive line is so dog shit, and some of it is because of, injuries. I get that, and I will give that to them. But there's no creativity in a blitz. There's nothing whatsoever. So you're asking your linebackers and your secondary to do absolutely everything for you. And when that happens, you're going to get cooked, right? It's one of those deals where if my best pass rushers were out, right, I would go one of two ways. And the crazy part is Tim DeRuyter has not gone one of these two ways. He's gone right down the middle, in fact. I would blitz more, but I'd be creative, okay? I'd be creative with blitzes, i.e. what he did against Arizona. Where the fuck was that? It's like we did it against Arizona. Don't need to do it for the rest of the year. What? And then the second option is you drop 8. And you just say, okay, we're going to have a spy on the quarterback. We're going to have everybody just running downhill into the ABC gaps for the running game aspect of things. Like, We'll do that. And you're almost at the point now where it's like, okay, you kind of have to go with the drop 8 if you're Texas Tech because of how this secondary works. And you just want more of those guys on the field because those are your better players at this point. Yes, you're getting some guys back on that defensive line, most notably on the edges, but you've lost multiple guys on the interior of that defensive line, most notably now due to Banks with a knee injury for the rest of the season. So there's no creativity from a reliability standpoint, consistency standpoint, none of it. You really don't know what you're getting each and every week from the Texas Tech defense, and that starts with the head man, Tim DeRuyter. Again, I'm not being as critical as I can because I do know that there's injuries on that side of the football and very noticeable ones too, right? But at the same time, you have to make adjustments, and not just for one game like you did against Arizona. You have to make consistent adjustments week in and week out. Now, all of them aren't going to work. I understand that. But there wasn't even an adjustment that looked like or even sniffed working against Baylor. Zero. On the offensive side, I get the frustration. I really do. But also at the same time, if we're coming at Kitley's head right now, I think that might be one of the more laughable things that a Texas Tech fan can want right now. You're number 1 in scoring in the Big 12. Okay, your offense, yes, I get it. It's frustrating in some regards, and he's not doing exactly what you want him to do, and shit, even what I want him to do. But in the grand scheme of things, it's working. Your offense is not the issue here. Your offensive line, nobody has really given them flowers in the Tech space that I've seen. They've been pretty damn good. Specifically, Dalton Merriman at left tackle. Okay, he's had a couple plays here and there, but overall, that offensive line has looked pretty good considering you've had to makeshift it after losing your best offensive lineman in Vinny Scurry. Your wide receivers, pretty damn good. So good, in fact, that you're not putting Micah Hudson on the field, even though he should be on the damn field more. That one-handed catch, by the way, was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it was sick against Baylor. And then you have arguably the best running back in the Big 12. In my opinion, he is. And then you have Baron Morton, who has shown to be better this year, right? The offense is not the issue, okay? The issue is the inconsistency in the downright just awful defense you have. And then not to mention your special teams is just one of the biggest headaches I can remember, right? Your special teams was supposed to be an aspect of this team where you didn't have to worry about it. By the way, your kickers are pretty good, so that's, I guess, a positive. But your return game is not great. You've had multiple times where you have put yourself behind the 8 ball offensively or even defensively due to fumbles or just idiotic type returns, okay? You got to be better there if you're Texas Tech. And I know there's a lot of frustration coming out of me right now going into this TCU game. But this is a game where you either put up or shut up. I see Joe here saying we're frauds. You're about to find out if you are. I'll 100% agree with you, Joe. If Texas Tech comes out and lays an egg with their back against the wall at TCU, because let's face it, people, if you lose at TCU, you're losing 3 games in a row. There's damn sure no way you're winning Ames, Iowa. You're not, okay? So you could lose 3 games, and that 5-1 start you had going into the bye is now quickly 5-4, and you're no longer looking at a place in Arlington. You're hoping to yourself, what kind of bowl are we going to get? Are we going to go play in Shreveport again? And where's the progression in this program? You have to win against TCU on Saturday, period. This is a must-win game and a program-defining type game, in my opinion, more so for the coaches than the players because, listen, you got absolutely fucking embarrassed if you're Joey McGuire and crew against Baylor. 59 points to a Baylor Bears team that should finish near the bottom, if not right there with Houston at the bottom of the Big 12. And you just laid a red carpet out for them to score damn near on every play, it felt like, for a series or two. Put up or shut up, dude. You got to show me some progression in this program, right? And this is coming from a guy who I still think Joey's the dude. I really do think he is, and call me crazy in the comments. I really don't care. I think Joey is still the guy. Prove it to me. Prove it to me this weekend. You can coach at a high level. You can make the right decisions. Same with you, Zach Kitley. Same with you, Tim DeRuyter. Same with all the position coaches as well. Prove it to me. Prove to me what you can do and prove to Red Raider Nation what the fuck you can do with your backs up against the wall, because this is a season-defining moment for the Red Raiders. Because if you lose this game, have fun. You're talking about a 7-win team max. Period. That felt good to get out. That felt really good to get out there, ladies and gentlemen. Felt really, really good. If you haven't already, and if you agree with me, like the video. Whew. All right, let's see here. We got Joe saying, what they can't do is play conservative. They seem to lose every freaking time they do that besides Arizona State game, and they need to pressure the TCU quarterback for sure. Problem is, Joe, they can't. They can't. Now, outside of the Arizona game, name me one time where this Texas Tech defense got any kind of consistent pressure this year. I'll wait. And I'm going to be waiting a long time because there isn't an answer. The answer is 0. They haven't done it. And so I'm almost at the point where it's like, screw the QB pressure. Just have them contained. Don't let them get to the outside. Force the quarterback to be in the pocket and throw against 8 in coverage with a spy right there so the quarterback doesn't get out and run. Let's see what happens, right? Because you don't have the horses down there on that defensive line that you did last year. Jalen Hutchins and Tony Bradford ain't coming back, people. And they're nowhere near that kind of talent right now in terms of on this current Texas Tech defensive line. There's nothing close to it. You can't get pressure. You might as well contain. Throw a stunt, LB blitz in there every once in a while. But overall, let's see what you can do. Like, I see all these people wanting blitzes. It's like, yeah, I kind of do too, but also at the same time, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. And what they did against Arizona was timely blitzes. But most of the time, if you go back and watch that film, they're dropping 7, 8 guys into coverage with a spy or 2 at the linebacker spot and Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez, where they're just containing the underneath right there and forcing Noah Fafita to throw into tight windows or just say, hey, Travion McMillan, go get the ball. And he did in some ways, but he didn't beat you. And it's just one of those frustrating things because I just don't think that they have the guys, and it's got to be the highest level of a priority for Texas Tech in the portal this offseason. They're going to have to need some Cody Campbell money to go get a true difference maker or 2 on that defensive line, period. End of story. Joe says, we're frauds. I can't believe I fell for it. What the hell kind of D1 defense allows 60 points to a Baylor team that had not figured it out up until that game? It's disgusting, man. Yeah. That's why I'm throwing out so many damn fucking curse words. God, they got me all pissed and my blood pressure's too high. Freaking ridiculous. They're aging me. They're aging me, folks. Stuart, do we have the personnel to make adjustments on defense, or is it a scheme/coaching issue? Yeah, it's a great question, Stuart. I don't think you do have the personnel right now. I don't think you do. And that's why I think it's going to have to be a scheme change, and not overall, right? Like, I don't think you're having to change everything, but drop 8. You've got guys in the secondary that they obviously like at a high level, and they're talking about each and every week that, hey, it's a true battle at this position to be the backup here to the obvious guys that should start in Braylon Lux and Mo Horn. Why not put more of those guys out there? Why not put more speed out there, right? Because you're not getting pressure on the quarterback anyway. Why not make it more difficult for them to pass the ball, keep everything in front, and play downhill to go and play in the run game? Why not? I just don't understand it. Like, it seems like, what's that old saying? And someone correct me if I'm wrong here. If you try something over and over and over again, that is the definition of insanity. It's insanity what they're trying to do every given week. The only anomaly this whole entire season for this Texas Tech defense was Arizona. They are what they are. And the crazy part is it's just, where are the adjustments whatsoever? And you hear, and Lord knows I was one of the people that was saying it even. So hand up, accountability is key here on the channel. Tim Reuter defenses historically have gotten better in the second half. If that's any indication, that Baylor performance of what the hell we're expecting in the second half, buckle up. Because I don't know if they make a bowl game if that happens. I mean, right now, I went into the season saying Texas Tech was going to win 8 games. Do I still stand by that? Yes. I guess. I don't really want to say it too loud, but I guess. Feels more like 7, though, now. It really does. Stuart, did we give up on the star position that Robert played? No, it's A.J. McCarty. He's back there, and A.J. McCarty's actually played pretty well. He did – I don't know, man. It's just put more of your damn athletes on the field. Put 3 guys in there that you feel really good about. I mean, it's just it's one of those deals, man, where, again, I'm not even saying that drop 8 is the be-all, end-all cure for it, right? But why not try it? Especially against a team like TCU that you know is going to want to throw the football. They don't really run that well. Their lead running back averages less than 4 yards a carry. Why not let your linebackers shine and be the guys that can go and drop back into coverage, be the spy on the quarterback, Hoover, go downhill in between the A, B, and C gaps and play in the run game there, set the edge, force them to play between the tackles to make life easier in terms of helping with the run game, and then have, 7, 8 guys drop back after that. Why not do that if you're Texas Tech? I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the answer. But at the same time, when they did it, it worked pretty damn well against Arizona. And to me, Arizona and TCU are pretty similar in terms of what they like to do offensively, with Arizona maybe running a little bit more. But it's pretty similar. Don't do the exact same thing. You got to make some adjustments. But, I mean, at the end of the day, do it. Do it. Just actually have these guys prepared. It's your freaking job, coaches. All right. Miss GRC, hope all is well. Is it just me, or are we both ready for basketball? But either way, I think Texas Tech turns it around against TCU. Hopefully. I mean, it's a hopefully on that front, but I definitely am ready for basketball. Transition to that here in just a second. But before I do, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and if you retweet it over on Twitter in terms of, the live, the latest tweet I have on my profile, people, I'll give you a shout out on there as well. And right now I know it's a weird time to be doing it. I'm debating. Let me know in the chat if I should do this. My wife has an event tonight, and I've been debating on if I should buy season tickets to the Mavs opener. I live pretty close. So should I buy them? Let me know in the chat. Just a Y for yes or in for no. I shouldn't buy opening game tickets for the Mavs. They play the Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. That's the only reason I'm really considering it. So let me know. I know that's not the basketball talk you want, but I will get there here now. But before I do, one more time, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. All right. Let's jump into some Texas Tech basketball here. Okay. And should be a lot of fun. Really, this season, I'm pretty excited about it. Actually going to be out in Vegas when March Madness starts for a buddy's batch trip. So really excited to watch all the games out there. But Texas Tech, there's a lot to discuss on the Texas Tech men's basketball front because they had a scrimmage, a secret scrimmage, and it was against Drake. One of Grant McCaslin's good friends is the head coach there now, and Ben McCollum. The Red Raiders won that 75-66. Maybe not the score you thought Texas Tech would end up winning this game with, or I guess scrimmage. But there was a lot of positives in this one, most notably from the 2-star players on this roster for Texas Tech, and Darion Williams and JT Toppin. D5 had 20 points. JT Toppin had 16. I heard really good things about the spacing for Texas Tech. Grant McCaslin, even at Big 12 Media Day yesterday, mentioned how they prioritize shooting, but going out and getting a guy like Elijah Hawkins to space the floor and really make it easier for guys like Kerwin Walton, Chance McMillan, and Darion Williams, who all shot north of 40% from 3 last year for the Red Raiders. Now, the defense, I also heard, was very aggressive in this one, and that's no tall task, or easy task, I should say, against the Ben McCollum team. Ben McCollum is known for his high-profile offenses and guys that he just gets guys ready to win. Okay. And so going out there, being aggressive and really getting into passing lanes, creating some turnovers and making life difficult for a team in the Missouri Valley and the Drake Bulldogs that made the tournament last year and actually, faced off against one of their better players in Kevin Overton, the now Red Raider. It will be interesting to see how the starting lineup unfolds. If I had to guess today what it is, and by the way, we're just about 12, 11 days away from Texas Tech tipping off their season. I really think in the grand scheme of it, we're going to be looking at, it really just comes down to the 2 guard for me. Elijah Hawkins at the 1. He'll be your point. We'll have some news on him in just a second. And then the front court, I'm pretty sure, is squared away. D5, JT Toppin, and I think you start Fetty squared. The 2 spot is interesting to me because I think you could go Chance McMillan or you go KO and Kevin Overton. Now, the interesting part is this. Do you want Chance McMillan to be a guy coming off the bench? But I also think that there's a world where you could start even Kerwin Walton, right, at the 2 spot to allow Chance McMillan to be that guy off the bench and then also provide some length and really just, have a litany of options there if you're Grant McCasland. That's kind of where I lean in terms of Kerwin Walton. I should have mentioned him in that, first in terms of the KO, and then obviously Chance McMillan. But I think you probably start Elijah Hawkins, Kerwin Walton, D5, JT Toppin, and then Fetty squared on that one. Now, when it comes to the injury update that I have heard recently, and I believe it was Jacob Harris over on the Scarlet and Black Insiders where I saw it first. Don't know if he's the one that first reported it, but that's where I first saw it, so I like to give those people credit. It sounds like Elijah Hawkins is actually dealing with a foot injury. Not too sure on the severity of it right now, but it wouldn't be shocking if he plays quite a few lesser minutes or fewer minutes, I guess, in the non-con schedule, just so he can be a little bit closer to 100% going into Big 12 play. So maybe you see a little bit more Christian Anderson, the 4-star guard from this past recruiting class, one of the 2 high school guys that they signed, did the Red Raiders. And he's a guy that has a lot of hype, okay? He was a guy that led Germany to the UA18 Euro title over there this past summer. He's gotten comparisons by, at least me, to Trey Burke. And there's been multiple other guys that have watched practice that have told me he is a standout. Do I think he's going to be one of those true difference makers as a true freshman? Time will tell, but I think he's talented and has a chance to truly be the point guard of the future for the Red Raiders. That said, you know who your key guys are, and that's JT Toppin, D5, Chance McMillan, Kerwin Walton. Those guys are your core, and not to mention Devin Cambridge as well. So when it comes down to it for me, I'm really damn excited about this Texas Tech men's basketball team because you think about last year, I think they probably overachieved in a lot of people's eyes, right? And I mean, shoot, Grant McCasland, all he does is win. And so that's kind of the expectation each and every year for his programs, in my opinion. But overall, hell yeah, I'm excited about this team. It's going to be a lot of fucking fun to watch. And they have a lot of fucking hype as well, does this team, including from national analyst and John Fanta, who works for, multiple outlets. Fox, I believe he calls games for Fox Sports during men's basketball season and also is on Field of 68. He has Texas Tech as his dark horse pick to make the Final Four, and that would be pretty fun considering it would be down in San Antonio. Red Raider party down there. Let's see who we got here. We got a yes for going to the Spurs game. Okay. Got a no for going to the Spurs game. We've got Lyle asking for Lyle Grip, stop cussing. Fuck no, Lyle. It's my channel. I will fucking cuss if I want to. You don't have to watch it. Stuart, can we get McCasland to teach McGuire how to make halftime adjustments? God, I wish. That would be unbelievable. That would be really unbelievable. I mean, McCasland was chef's kiss last year when it comes to halftime adjustments, right? Like, truly. Chef's kiss. And that's also a shout out to his staff too, Barnhart, all those guys, like, got a lot of guys, really, really good coaching staff for sure. Red Raider 17, is Josh Jelly an NFL player? I know you meant Kelly, so I'll answer. Yeah, I think he is. You can tell defenses are keying in on him now. from the defensive side. And we'll switch into the Q&A. So if y'all have got some questions, let them fly in the chat. I'll probably be live for another, 10 minutes, depending on if y'all continue to ask questions. Josh Kelly's an NFL player, in my opinion. I think he's probably, I overhyped him a little bit early on in terms of his NFL draft projection. I thought he would be a guy that, would go in maybe that late third, early fourth round, and maybe he still does, but you can definitely tell teams are keying in on him after the hot start that he had. And it's going to be interesting to see if there's any kind of adjustments. He's still been decent, solid, but nowhere near, at least in my opinion, to what he was early on for the Red Raiders this season. In fact, let's go look at some of these stats real quick, because Josh Kelly is a pretty interesting player, in my opinion, for Texas Tech. I mean, you look at him, he had 9 for 76. I know that sounds crazy, but I would expect more from Josh Kelly. Caleb Douglas, I mean, he's been playing phenomenal. 9 catches, 99 yards, and 3 TDs. That, of course, against Baylor. But you look overall in terms of these guys' stats as I pull them up in front of me here. Josh Kelly, 590. He has more yards this year through, 7 games than any Texas Tech wide receiver did last year. Caleb Douglas is going to pass that as well. Coy Aiken, he's also been a touchdown machine so far. And then funny enough, your fourth leading wide receiver on this team is Micah Hudson, and he only has 8 catches this year. Let's see. Does Tech do better at getting boards this year? I think so. I think they do. How much better? I don't know. I think the thing I'm most interested in from the Texas Tech perspective is the physicality down low, which I do think leads to more rebounds for them. But I think they're going to be a physical team, and they have a lot of length. That's one thing I'm really excited about looking at this roster for Texas Tech. You think about it, is Kerwin Walton the best defender in the world? No, but he's better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. Provides some length as well, right? D5, physical defender down low, can guard multiple positions. JT Toppin can go out and guard smalls on the pick and roll if he needs to. Federico is known for his defensive prowess, more so than the offensive side of the basketball. And you've got guys like DC coming off the bench as well for the defensive side. So I'm really interested to watch their defensive adjustments this year and really see how much better they are, because I don't think the offense is going to go down. I think it will improve with the likes of Elijah Hawkins being the facilitator. I think they desperately needed a guy like that last year, where his main focus wasn't scoring, but Elijah Hawkins is a guy that is elite in the pick and roll, can find those open passing lanes and get guys open space in the catch and shoot right in their shooting pocket to make easier shots, or at least have a better chance to make the shot, I should say. Do you think Micah Hudson will transfer? I don't right now. No, I really don't think he does. I do think we need to see more of him down the stretch, though. I do. And this goes back to the creativity side of things, man. Like, how many wide receivers in college football are making that catch against Baylor that Micah Hudson had? Granted, it's one catch. I get it. It's one catch. But at the same time, there's got to be ways you can get him involved, okay? And yes, that can be, taking Caleb Payday Douglas off for, 3 or 4 snaps a game. Then you take Josh Kelly off for 3 or 4 snaps a game. Then you take Coy Aiken off for 3 or 4 snaps a game. Then you go 4 wide, so you take the tight end out, and there's 3 or 4 snaps there for Micah Hudson. You find maybe, 1 or 2 more ways to get him on the field, and before you know it, Micah Hudson's playing 15 to 20 snaps. I don't think that's crazy to ask for right now, right? I don't think that's crazy to ask for. I think it's a creativity aspect of things, and I think it's a thing that has to get better in terms of just playing a guy like Micah Hudson. Do I think he is better than Josh Kelly right now? No, I don't. Call me crazy. Do I think he's better than Caleb Payday Douglas right now? Probably not, but I think he's probably around Coy Aiken. Right? I don't think that there's, and that's not disrespectful to Coy Aiken. Coy Aiken's good, in my opinion. I think Micah Hudson's good too. You have to get creative if you're Zach Kitley and this offensive staff to get a guy like Micah Hudson on the field. I just, especially in the latter half of his freshman season. Early on, I can get it, especially that he missed spring camp. He was working his way back from injury, yada, yada, yada. He's clearly healthy now. Get him more snaps in the second half. It's really that simple. It's that simple. Have you watched the Tech basketball hype episodes? I have watched the first one. I haven't watched the second one. I know DC is a lot more in the second one, and he's going to be a pivotal player for Texas Tech. I don't think it's I don't think people talked enough about Devin Cambridge coming back to Texas Tech. I know there was that rumor that he was going to enter the portal, and then less than 48 hours later, he was back, whether that was NIL or change of heart, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. He's in the scarlet and black. He will be a really big contributor off the bench for the Red Raiders and a guy that really changes that front court once he gets back to as close to 100% as he can for his final collegiate season. All right. 2 receivers are making that catch in college, Smith and Williams. Yeah, and what do they all have in common? Freshman. Micah Hudson, people remember, he was the 3rd highest ranked wide receiver in this past class. The only 2 guys ahead of him, Jeremiah Smith, maybe the best wide receiver in college football as a true freshman. Not me overhyping him. Just go watch the film. And then Ryan Williams down at Alabama. And Ryan Williams is at worst a top 5 wide receiver in college football right now. That's who Micah Hudson was behind. Micah Hudson has the talent. Yes, he's coming off the injury. I get it in spring, but you're in the second half of the season now. This Texas Tech offensive staff have to find creative ways to get him on the field because he is a difference maker, and he proves it at least one time a game in limited snaps. I mean, it's just a fact. Stewart says, hoping we keep both Hudson and Hammond. Do you see Hammond getting a fair shot at the starting job next season? Yeah, I think that's interesting because Baron Morton, he does have eligibility left. And so is this another Tyler Shuck, Baron Morton situation? But now Baron Morton is Tyler Shuck in this scenario, and Will Hammond is Baron Morton, right? Is it possible? I think so. I mean, right now, my gut tells me Baron Morton returns and is the starting quarterback for Texas Tech next season. That's what my gut tells me. However, should there be a competition with him and Will Hammond? I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, Will Hammond is a guy that I think is really good, and I think Baron Morton is good too. But at the end of the day, you got to put whoever is the best out there, okay? And when it comes down to it, I think it will be Baron Morton. But that being said, man, that's a really tough question because I really think Baron has gotten a lot better. I really, truly think he has. I think he's gotten a lot better this year. And by the way, I'm trying to do some math for this next question, but I think it'll probably be Baron Morton, if I'm being honest. I'm beating around the bush there. All right, let's see how many yards Taj Brooks needs to break the record. So it's 279. Let's do some quick math. How many games has Taj played in this year? He's played in 6. So 279, but he has 804 divided by 6 equals 134. So 279 divided by 134 equals 2 games, basically. So 2 games. So he's 279 away from the all-time rushing record for Texas Tech. So that means he is on pace from his season current averages to become the all-time leading rusher for Texas Tech during the first quarter of the Colorado game. That'd be pretty fun. That would be a fun thing to see, as I will be out there for that game. And by the way, if y'all are going to be out there, I will be letting y'all know. Follow me over on Twitter at RCMB323. We'll be having a get-together, maybe after the Texas Tech men's basketball game that Friday night, November 8th, I believe that is. We will be having a get-together. Might even buy a round of drinks for the people that show up to it. We'll see how the night goes. But I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate each and every one of y'all spending some of y'all's Thursday night with me. Been a little slow with the videos lately. I know. Bear with me. Real world life in terms of the full-time job. it's kicking my ass recently, but I promise I will get back to that groove as quickly as possible. Really appreciate each and every one of y'all's support. And if you want to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football and men's basketball, as tip-off is nearly only 10 days away, people, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans right here on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel.